Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do another shelf by shelf TBR reader unhaul video. So this will be episode 2. I did do one back in, I started it in May and did it to June, about June 4th. And then I just got too busy with the readathon I was participating in, amazing readathon, plus getting ready for my big Alaska trip that I did with my family, which was very awesome. And I am back now, so I've had a week to sort of recover, and I decided that I should do another episode of this. So we are July 13th, a Sunday. Yes, Cooper is here too. Anyway, so I am going to pick another shelf, and then we'll see what books I'm going to read off of that. I have done my percentages. I have bought a lot of books, but I also read a lot of books off my shelf, even though I did so much rereading. I'm not quite sure how the numbers came out, but technically I'm ahead. So, and I think because I had some number issues at the end of the last episode, I think I figured it out, but I just went like I'm just looking at the total books on my shelf. I did unhaul a couple of books too, so that could be why the number is a little different. But right now I show that of my personal library that I am at 49% read. So it's technically 40, let's see here, 49, no, it's the other way around, 40, no, that's right, because it was like hundreds a difference. So I'm actually really close to the 49%, and 51% is unread. So again, the goal of my of doing this kind of video, which again, so many people have done it in the past, is that or they have their versions of it, which are really awesome. But my goal is to hit 50%. I would love to be at 50% before the end of the year. So we'll see if I can do that. I am trying to read off my bookshelves as much as possible in the next coming months, because I've been kind of in a rereading situation right now. That's what I'm craving, and I've reread a lot in the last couple months. So my percentages probably would have been better if I'd read stuff on my bookshelf instead of rereading favorites, except that I really enjoyed it. So you have to understand I'm a huge rereader, and it is not surprising that I go through phases where I reread a lot, because I've been a rereader my whole life. So anyway, so we're going to start with the spinner wheel of shelf by shelf. So this one has all the actual bookshelves. We're going to do those first. We're going to pick a bookshelf. So again, I have 7 bookshelves in here, but we are not doing bookshelf which I call library 6. This is my library room. Anyway, we're not going to do 6 because that was picked last time. So I'm going to try to pick a different bookshelf every time. I mean, I know that there's multiple shelves on all the bookshelves, but I don't want to go back to the same bookshelves. I want to try to hit all the bookshelves. We're trying to do random side. So again, I have 1 through 5, and bookshelf 7 over here. I have the cart, which has a lot of first books in urban fantasy series and paranormal romance series, so that's its own thing. In my dining room, I have a nonfiction bookshelf. I have one bookshelf by the fireplace, which is mostly classics, modern and older. I have my TV shelf, which is a lot more classics. And then I have a TBR bookshelves that are by my couch. There's 2 of them. So I have TBR 1 and 2. And then I have in my guest room, I have 2 closets, or 2 bookshelves in the closet. So they're closet 1 and 2. And then the guest room has 1 bookshelf. I'm not counting any of my books upstairs in my bedroom. All of the manga, there's only 1 series that I haven't read that's technically down on my TBR shelf, so I'm not counting anything upstairs. Everything else up there I've read, or yeah, most of them have all been read, except for a graphic novel series, which I can't read because I'm not far enough into the main book series to read them yet. So they're not on the list because I'm not ready for those. Okay, that was a really long explanation. Anyway, let's get to spinning to see where we're going to be in my house. I have a lot of bookshelves. I have a lot of books. Yeah. Anyway, here we go. We're going to start. Oh, oh, the guest room. Okay, so the guest room bookshelf has some of my presidential biographies, but most of them I've read. Then there is all my Nora Roberts and Amelia Peabody or Elizabeth Peters books. A lot of mysteries in that room. Then it kind of goes into mystery-ish kind of books, like kind of into paranormal. Some are just mysteries. And then there's my horror and sci-fi in there. So this is going to be an interesting thing. So let's go in there and we will pick which shelf we're going to do. Okay, so here is my guest bedroom bookshelf. So as I said, I have some nonfiction up here, but I don't think I'm going to count this shelf because the next presidential book that I want, or the one I'm reading in order, is actually out on my TBR shelf. And the rest of these I've either read or I'm not ready for the Roosevelts. They're going to wait. So we're not going to do a top shelf on this spin. I'm making, yeah, because the rest of them I'm not ready for. Yes, kitty. Cooper is here helping. Again, I said I have my Nora Roberts, and there is some other like Agatha Christie behind there that I've read. So there is a lot of Nora Roberts also on my TBR shelf. So if shelf number 1 comes up, I'm going to grab at least the 2 that are on my TBR, 2 or 3 that I have out on my TBR shelf, because again, they would go here, but they're not. I do have some J.D. Robb. Again, that's Nora Robert, but her futuristic crime one, which the next book I have in that series is also out on that shelf. So I could do that book as well. Then again, I have all my Elizabeth Peters, which again, I want to reread the Amelia Peabody series. So I might do a reread if I get this shelf, but we'll see. So that's 2. 3 is all my Mary Stuarts, which again, I do have 1 out on my TBR shelf. My next one is the Ivy Tree, which I have not read yet, of her books. So I could do that. I then have all my Bill Kreider or Sheriff Dan Rhodes mystery series. Again, that's another reread one, but I probably won't pick that. And then I have just some odds and ends ones, first books in different mystery series. So I could try a first book in a series. And then the same, this is all, except for Dune, we'll pull out, but I have another shelf of mysteries, just all different kinds, various kinds. I just have Dune displayed there because it's pretty. Anyway, but I've already read that. Yeah, so it doesn't count. And then as we get lower, this is more horror with some mystery, sci-fi-ish. And then we go into horror and then sci-fi at the very bottom, but we will see what happens. So again, there are 8 shelves I'm going to do on this one. So let me set up my spinner and we will do that. The cat keeps walking on the bed and it's making it move. Sorry. Yes, Cooper. Okay. So I have my shelf number. Sorry, Cooper is just pacing the bed and I've got you set up on the bed. So anyway, let's see what shelf number we're going to go with. And I don't know what I'm hoping for. We'll see what happens. Yes, kitty. 6. Didn't I get 6 last time? Yeah, I did. Anyway, so we'll see what 6 is on this shelf. That is my, that is horror and some paranormal stuff. So that could be a good shelf. So anyway, let's go down there. Okay, so here is, it's kind of a horror mashup, weird fiction and stuff. So I have quite a few books. If there's any books you guys think I should read, let me know. But I did pull The End of Temperance Dare by Wendy Webb. This is my next book to read by Wendy Webb. I do have a collection of her books over here. I am working my way through them. The next one to read is this one. I don't know much about it, but I think this was on my TBR shelf. I brought it back in here because because I do want to continue reading her books. And Cooper has joined us, as you see. So that's for number 1 for sure. As I said, I want to pick 3 to 4 books at least. A lot of these I have not read. but I have some good, like some interesting ones. So, oh my God, cat, he's almost knocking over my thing. So anyway, let's see here. I have read Nettle and Bone and Into the Drowning Deep and What Moves the Dead. I have not read Dead Silence, which I think that might be a next one. I do have a couple books by Christopher Bielman that I want to read, but this is the one I bought the longest ago, so I probably should pick that one. I've always wanted to try Catherine House, so that could be a good one. I know I still have a few of these. That Stephen King is kind of out of place there, but it's there, so I could read that too, but I'm not sure. So anyway, yes, Cooper, I'm moving stuff around. I think what I'm going to do, I think these are going to be the ones plus the Wendy Webb one. So let me switch over, and as I said, there are other options here, but I think those are going to be the ones I'm going to try to read. Cooper. Yes, he's rubbing off on my stuff. Okay, so again, I'll be reading these books over the next, hopefully, a couple weeks. I'm not sure how fast I'll get through them because I do have a lot of books that I am in the middle of and reading at this time. I have so much stuff going on. Because of my vacation, I feel like I'm behind, even though I've read so much this year, so it's not like that. So I am going to pick these 4 books. I'm hoping to get to all of them, but again, I'm not going to force anything. I'm very much a mood reader. So I'm going to try to read stuff off that shelf. If I read more off that shelf before these 4 are done, that's great. But these are the 4 I'm going to focus on because they're the ones that I have thought about picking up at multiple times in the last year or so, and I just haven't done it. So again, I'm going to start with Wendy Webb, or I'm going to talk about this one first. The End of Temperance Dare. So her books are kind of paranormal with kind of a mystery element to them. This one is following a woman who has kind of had a rough life as a crime reporter, decides to become change jobs, and becomes the director of an artist retreat. But there is something weird about Cliffside Manor and the people who are brought there might be up to something that the last director was trying to get something to do. And again, she has like a paranormal element. It's not, it almost always has something like that. And they're just fun. Like, again, they're not perfect, but I have a lot of fun with them, and I'm trying to get through her back catalog. So I will probably read that fairly soon. Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes is a sci-fi horror that I've been wanting to read for years. I got it from the library at one point. I read the first chapter or 2, but I had to return it, and then I've just never gotten back to it. So I had finally found it used at some point and picked it up, and I just haven't got to it. So this is a crew who I think was that found something that they weren't supposed to, a luxury liner that had gone missing, again, space wise, and they decide to make a salvage claim on it and try to get into it, and then things go wrong. And so we it's kind of a different narrative style, as in the main character is telling her story of what happened, I believe, to like an interview after the fact, after everything went down. Anyway, I've heard really good things about this one, so I do want to read that one. Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas is one of those books that I remember quite a few years ago. That was the dark academia darling about these college students who have to who join Catherine House at this college, but they have to stay there all 4 years. I don't think they can have much contact with other people. But they have, like, if you get through it, it sets you up for life kind of thing. But I don't know what happens after that. This is one of those books where I heard about it for a really, really long time, and I never got it. And then I found it used at a library book sale and picked it up thinking, well, maybe now that it's so many years past the hype, I will enjoy it. So we will see, but I think that'll be kind of interesting. And then the last one of the ones I'm going to pick that I'm going to try to get to for this video is Those Across the River by Christopher Bullman. So I have been wanting to read some of his other books, Between Two Fires, which is more of a historical horror, and another one that, The Black Tongue Thief. Is that it? I think that's it. And that's more fantasy. or probably more grimdark fantasy, but I'm not sure. I haven't read those two, but I've owned those. But this one I bought before that, and this is also historical horror, but this isn't as far back as Between Two Fires, which is more medieval. This one is after the Great War. This man named Frank decides to go back to the plantation where his family was in charge of, which is in ruins now. But he wants to write the history of it to kind of get over his own trauma from the Great War. And I'm guessing it doesn't go well because there are some secrets and bad things that happened on that plantation, which you can imagine is probably pretty bad. Anyway, so I'm curious about this one. Again, I picked this up quite a while ago, and it was the first book of his that I picked up. And now there's a couple more I want to read of his, but this is the one I think I should read anyway since it was on that shelf, and I still want to get to it. So I am going to try to read these next 4 books, hopefully before the end of July. Again, it's the 13th, so I have a couple of weeks. Again, I am a mood reader, so I'm not going to like just pound these out in the next week because that's just not the way I read stuff. But I'm hoping to kind of intersect them with the rest of the stuff I already have that I want to get to or I'm already in the middle of. But anyway, so that's it. That's my, I will come back and vlog the rest of the I will talk about these books as I go, and then we will see where my percentage is, where I am, how many books I've bought since I did my numbers for today, and see what happens. Well, hopefully my percentages, I will do better, or I'll get more, like I'll make some progress. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, here we go. Hey guys, so it is still Sunday the 13th of July, but I thought it's a little hot out, so I've already changed. Sorry. But I did take the time to look at my list to see what I could get audiobooks for. And there are 2 of the books that I can get on Libby right away. So Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes and Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. So I will probably listen to these hopefully in the next week or 2. Kitty, give me a minute. Anyway, Cooper is just whiny. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to start with one of these because physically I have too many books this week that I'm like in the middle of one book. I have another book, Kindle, coming midweek, or well, Tuesday, drop of a most anticipated book, Atonement Sky by Nalini Singh. I will drop everything to read that book. So I'm not sure when I'll get to these 2, but I have to read both of these physically. There's no audiobook that I'm not even sure there's audiobooks for them. There might be, but I don't want to pay for anything. So we're going to try to read those physically. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to start one of these sometime this week, probably later in the week. So anyway, hopefully I just wanted to come back because I forgot to do that before to say some of these might be audiobooks I can get from Libby. So anyway, we will start with that. I just wanted to drop that in here. Okay, so has it been a week? Yeah, I think it's been a week since I started this video, a little bit over that. We're quite a few days later, over a week later. So as I said, I think I mentioned that I had a couple of them on audio, so I got those from Libby, and I had those, and I haven't looked at the ones that I have to read physically because I was in the middle of so many books this last week. I had kind of, I don't know if it was really a slump, but I kind of slowed down on my reading. And then I had a traumatic weekend with my cat. So he is fine now, as you know, I told you guys, but he's still whiny and clingy. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the two of the books that I had on audio because they didn't go well. So at first I tried Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas. This is a dark academia. I think slightly horror, slightly weird kind of fiction. And it's a book that I didn't want to read when it first came out. Like I'm still not really into dark academia. That isn't my thing. I mean, it's not something I gravitate towards. Like I have bought a few books that are technically that, but that's not why I bought them. It was usually because of the other premise. And so this is a book that was very hype. Everybody was talking about it for a long time. And then it just kind of dropped off and people stopped talking about it. And then I saw it at a library book sale and I bought it. Because again, it was one of those things where I remember everybody talking about it. And I thought, well, I'll give it a shot, you know. I made it to 10 pages and I DNF'd it. I don't care. First of all, I don't like, So it starts with a girl, I don't remember, it starts with, isn't her name Ivy or something? Enos. And the thing is that right away I don't like how she thinks about things, how she is, you know, a young adult. I mean, as a teenage college age, and you know, pretty much doing things that, yeah, are totally for that age, but I just don't care anymore. I'm so past college that I have to have other things that like interest me. And right away I didn't like her, and she was the main character, and I'm like, I don't like you. And I didn't get very far, but I already didn't like her. And then I thought about it, and I was like, well, I could push through and, you know, read a little bit more. And I was like, I just don't care. So this was a quick DNF. Again, I only listened to maybe 20, 30 minutes, and then I was like, I'm done. So I didn't really count it. I DNF'd it. And then yesterday I tried Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. So this one, I at least got 50 pages in. And this was also one that was very popular a couple years ago. I know she's gone on to write other kind of space horror. This is more sci-fi with horror, like a mix. And I really wanted to like this because I thought that would be something I would like. And I think it would. I think I have read other ones that I've enjoyed and other ones that might be on my radar that I want to read. This has like a ghostly or maybe a paranormal element, but it's with sci-fi, so they're in space. They find it's a crew that is supposed to be leaving, and they're all kind of, things are changing in their lives because they're losing the job that this job that they have right now. And they find the Aurora, which is a ship that went missing 20 years before. Nobody knew what happened to it. It was luxury cruise kind of thing in the solar system. It was like a new thing, and something happened to it. And we're getting a past and a present timeline of one of the main character who's telling the story from, you know, I'm pretty sure it's first person, right? I'm not remembering that. Yeah. And which I can't think of her name, Claire. And she is in charge of this team on this ship, and they go to investigate to, you know, salvage some of it so that they have something that said they'd found it, and then they can go back and they'd get money for it and everything. So there's this money element to it. And the thing is again, and then the present tense is what's like, it's giving away kind of what happens later. And this is not a structure I enjoy. So when I have two timelines, I like ones that give me a little bit, but don't tell me like major events. I guess I like it more when we explore it, the two timelines at the same time, you know, or we talk about it. But this one was like it's telling me right away that certain people don't make it. And I'm like, well, what's the point of reading this if I know this person makes it, but nobody else does, or that, you know, or something that this person went this way or something. And it's just, I just didn't care. Like, again, the audiobook was fine. It's by Lauren Izzo. I don't think the audiobook was the problem. This is a book I did check out from the library when it first came out, and I read the first couple pages, and it didn't grab me then, so I took it back to it was one of those books that just sat, you know, in a stack for 3 weeks, and then I took it back to the library, and I bought a copy years later, and I kept thinking, oh, I'm gonna really, really enjoy this, and I keep telling myself to pick it up, and I just never did. And now I've done it, and I made it 50 pages, or I think it was it 15% in, something close to that, and I was just like, yeah, I'm done. So it's just, I think it really was for me the structure, and I didn't really like Claire at all. She kind of bothered me of things that she, not like she was thinking things that didn't make sense. I just didn't like the way she looked at the world, I guess, and maybe that just didn't help me get involved or care, that I knew that everything was going to go wrong. I really wanted to get to the part where it's kind of ghostly and things are weird, whatever's happening on this ship, because something happens when they go on there, but I just couldn't do it. I got home from work yesterday. I got to the 50-page mark. I checked when I got home, and then I was like, well, I can, you know, maybe listen to it to a little bit more. And the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, I don't care. So that is another DNF and one off my TBR. So those ones are both going to be, I'm going to get rid of them. There's no point to keep them because I'm not going back to them. So I still have my 2 books that I need to read physically. Those Across the River by Christopher Bowman. So I do want to get to this soon. And also The End of Temperance Dare by Wendy Webb, which I've read a lot of things by her. So I'm expecting to enjoy this and keep this, but I need to get through her back catalog because I've only read like half of her stuff. I think I'm still like halfway through. So I own everything. And then this one, Christopher Bowman, I own another book by him, and I want to buy another one by him because they're all different premises and stuff. And so this is more thriller, paranormal-ish, and with a mystery. And then this is, I think, horror with a mystery. I'm not sure. I guess I'll find out. It says novel horror as its classification. So, I mean, I thought there was a mystery involved, but maybe it's just, it has, you know, we'll see. So anyway, I'm going to pick those up. As I said, right now I'm finishing up a few books that I had started last week that I want to finish those physically before I jump into these. And I also have one library book that I need to read. So it'll probably be another week or 2 before I make another update. But I'm hoping to come back to you once I get into one of these because the last 2 didn't go so well. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Okay, so is it another week? I think it's another week since last time I filmed on this. So it is, was it July 27th? I think it's the 27th. It's the Sunday. So I'm just about to sit down to do my weekly update, but I have some more bad news. I am DNFing Those Across the River by Christopher Bowman. So this one kind of worries me. I have another book by him on my shelf already, and then there's one I really, really want. I have The Black Tongue Thief that I bought on vacation a couple of years ago, and then I have been wanting to read Between Two Fires for years. Like, I just don't make myself buy it, and I do have an audiobook I can get from, I think, Audible Plus, but they're completely different kind of horror subgenres than this one. This is more historical. This takes place at like 1935 in Georgia, where a man goes back to his ancestral home kind of thing, plantation, where some really bad things happened. And so he and his partner are very much kind of on the outs of things that happened in their life just before this. And so normally they wouldn't have even come, but they're kind of desperate-ish kind of thing. And again, it's the 1930s, so they take what they can get kind of thing, job-wise. And he comes down, he's going to write about this history because he's going to do that. Anyway, I got 35 pages in, so I didn't get very far. I didn't even get to anything spooky or anything weird or anything else, but I just detested, I already didn't like the characters. Like, I didn't like what they were, like, I mean, it's very human, like what happened to them, like what they did, and, you know, the consequences of their actions and stuff like that. I don't think I like the way this is written. It's really interesting because it is written kind of vignette style. They're short sections within a chapter, and chapters aren't super long. I read 3 chapters. I think I just started chapter 4. Yeah, I just started chapter 4, and I was just like, I just don't care. I'm sure it might get better, but really, to be honest, if I was already struggling at 35 pages and I didn't want to pick it up, I actually, picked up something else and read that without any problem. Completely different genre, don't get me wrong. But again, I didn't care, and I didn't even want to wait to find out what the weird stuff was. So I'm going to DNF it. There's no point of me, I'm not going to keep this. So, anyway, I guess I can take my bookmark out of there. So there's another one DNF'd. Anyway, so I'm hoping to pick up in the next week or 2. I'll have to see how my mood reading goes, but I do want to still do The End of Temperance Dare, sorry, by Wendy Webb. So this one is like my only hope of actually getting one that I'm going to read all the way through. So far I have 3 DNFs, but this one, I'm pretty sure I'll finish and keep. I have enjoyed all her books, some more than others, and I do still have several to read. So I do want to read this one. So I will probably pick up this soon. I did think about, so when I don't know if I talked about this. I didn't go back and look, but I did have 27 books on that shelf, and I had only read 8. So now I've DNF 3. So if I read this book and if I read or DNF 2 more books, I would be over the 50% mark on that shelf. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. The way that this is going, I might, just to to have some progress. And maybe I keep hoping I'm going to find books I like that I've bought. This one isn't going so well. So, but it's also a genre that these are all kind of genre blends, and they all are ones that I took risks on. Like I could like them. I don't know. They just sound cool. And I have heard other people talk about them. This one, not so much. I hadn't heard anybody talk about this. I had it on a wish list for years. And then I finally got it used, I think, at some point. I don't remember, a couple of years ago. And again, as I said, because I want to read his other books, but this was the one I knew of first. And so it didn't work out. Anyway, so I'm hoping to, as I said, get to this book hopefully very soon. And then I might go back to that shelf and we'll look at it and make a decision if I'm going to try to get to the 50% mark on that shelf, just to do something different or to try to get me to read some books. I don't know. Because I DNF'd to all these fairly quickly. I mean, one really quickly. This one at 35 pages and the other one at 50. So, I mean, I am giving him a shot, but I also I'm a quick DNFer if I am not enjoying it, and I was not enjoying it. So, I think it's more gothic horror because it has the historical element, because it takes place in the 30s and it has history from the time before the Civil War kind of stuff, or during the Civil War, I think is when bad things happened there. It happened before that, but anyway, I just didn't want to get to it. I just didn't care enough. So, anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. So, anyway, I will check in when I get to the end of Temperance Dare, and then we'll see how I feel, if I want to just wrap the video up and then go to a different shelf, or if I will attempt at least 1 or 2 more books from that shelf. We will see. Hey guys, so it's been a week? I don't remember the last time I updated. When did I DNF the last book? I don't know. It's been a while. Anyway, it is August 2nd. It's the 2nd. Okay. So, I started the end of Temperance Dare by, Wendy Webb back on Friday. Or no, I guess Thursday night I read a little bit. But, mostly I read this yesterday and today. I should have, made a clip for yesterday, but I have to be honest, is that with me doing now daily vlogs, I've gotten kind of a little confused on where I was and forgot. I kept just telling those vlogs that I wasn't going to talk about this book because it's for this vlog, but anyway. So anyway, so this is, I would say, mystery thriller with some kind of supernatural element. These are just fun books. They all take place around Lake Superior, and she loves using the lake as kind of a backdrop, and coastal towns around, or, I guess, well, I don't know, do you call them coastal when they're around lakes, around Lake Superior? Anyway, but around the lake and the little towns around there, or like this one has this big house that was built to be a tuberculosis refuge, for people who had the disease back in the early 1900s. And then, but once, I guess the cure was found, I'm not even sure, I don't know enough about TB to be honest, then he turned it into an artist retreat. And so they had fellowships that people come for 2 to 4 weeks and work on their art, and they have to go through a screening process, blah, blah. So anyway, our main character been newly hired as the new director, the woman who is stepping down is the daughter of the man who built the building, or on the property, and who ran both when it was tuberculosis institute, and then also when it became the artist thing, he took over. So they from money. And so there's stories about the family, because 20 years before that this book takes place, the father who had built the building, had been running everything, and one of his daughters died in a car accident, driving off a cliff close to the home, or close to the place. And so so there's mysteries around that. The main character, Eleanor, was a young reporter at the time, and she reported on it for her newspaper. And so she had met the sister who was not in the car, and who was was a survivor of that. So she was getting out of her job. She was on the crime beat, which again is my only problem with this book, really, is because she was a reporter. Really don't like reporters and stories, but it's a Wendy Webb, so that's why I'm reading it. Anyway, but so she takes over this job. She comes and, finds out that there's an opening to take over as director, and she thinks, she's always been interested in the place, and she remembers 20 years before when she was out there, and so she thought, she needs a change anyway. So she applies for the job, and she is surprised when she gets it. And she shows up on the day that she shows up, she takes over. Everything's just about to, is switched over to her. All the paperwork signed and everything. And the woman who was the director, the daughter of the man who had died in the car wrecks, she dies. And there's a lot of suspicious stuff that deals with that. And it kind of goes from there. Things are kind of weird at the house. There's mysteries of people who were there when it was dealing with the tuberculosis stuff. And then the fellows, the people who come, the artists show up. And then they all of them, most of them have connections somehow to when it was that institute. And maybe there was another daughter that nobody talks about called Temperance. And there's a lot of rumors and stuff that they all have different things. It's all mystery, and they're all trying to figure out what's going on. There's good and bad things about it. Again, it's not my favorite Wendy Webb, because again, I do have problems with the reporter side of the thing. She is ex-reporter, but it's still there with some of the things she thinks and says. Just still, I have nothing personally against a person who is a reporter in real life. I guess I just don't like reading about them. I don't know. There's something about it. I don't know how to explain it, but anyway, so I am now 200 pages in. So I have about another 100 pages. So I'm like a third. So I probably should have come and talked to you earlier, but let's just say that a lot of things have happened. But it's still building. Like we're still learning things. The plot is building. There is a romance in the background. There's two men that she is attracted to. One who lives on the grounds, and one of the artists who is there to do stuff. So anyway, I always like hers because there is mystery involved. Usually there's a great atmosphere around Lake Superior. She does write, almost all her books are around there. I think all of them that I've read, I'm pretty sure. And so I'm really interested. So anyway, I have about 100 pages. I don't think I'll finish it tonight. I'm hoping to read a little bit more before I go to bed. It's late on a Saturday night. Not late, but I need to go to bed sort of early because I have to go to bed early on Sunday because I'm going to try to start being more regular with my exercising. So I need to get up early because I have to exercise before I go to work. So anyway, but I do plan to finish this tomorrow. So at least one of the books is working for this vlog. And again, I was pretty sure I would read this. Now this is not one of my favorites though of the books I've read of hers, and I've read like 4 or 5 of them. I think this is either this is 5 or 6 that I've read. I think it's 6, but I'm not positive. I'll have to look at my numbers. But I am curious to see how it ends, like how it all comes around. Because she usually twisted in a little way. It's not like, twist, you know. I think most of hers, I enjoy. And I love the paranormal element on the lake. Like, you know, lake properties and stuff. I don't know, there's just something about it. Anyway, so I am enjoying that. So anyway, I wanted to just give at least a clip that I have started it, and I'm as I said, I'm pretty far into it. I probably should have come when I wasn't as far in, but as I said, I'm kind of, my vlogs are all kind of confusing me right now. So anyway, I will probably check in with you tomorrow when I finish this. Okay, so I'm gonna just do a quick recap. I really enjoyed this. This was, as I said, it's not my favorite of the Wendy Webbs that I've read, but I did like the way it ended. I liked how it came together and the mystery solved. I did not guess everything, which is always fun for me. I guessed part of it, but not enough. And I was surprised by the way it went. I think the middle was there was a couple little slow points or a couple things that I'm like, I don't know if that was really necessary. I feel, even though it was only 316 pages, I feel it was a little long for what it was doing. But overall, I really enjoyed this. I wasn't sure if it's a book I would want to revisit. I still am not positive, but it's just enough that I would still give this like a 4. Again, to me, a 4 is usually a book that I had a good time with, and mostly it's readable. You know, there's a lot of different things reasons. I give 4s out a lot, I admit it. But it just crested. I think it was just enough. The ending was just good enough. Not perfect, not in any way. There's certain things I wish she did a little differently or said a little differently, but really overall, she's just a fun ride for me. These are, I would not say guilty pleasures. I would say these are perfect, like, spooky palate cleansers, because they're different from most of the books that I read. I don't read a lot of suspense with little paranormal elements. Hers are the only books I can think of right now that I really read that are this vein. So anyway, overall, for the challenge of the shelf by shelf, that shelf, this is the only win, but I kind of knew it would be because it was my next one to read for that author, and I still have at least, I think I have 3 left. I'd have to go count, but which I will do on another day while I'll wrap up the whole video. But overall, I'm really glad I read this. I'm really excited to read another one of hers. Again, I do read them, I space them out like 6 months to a year between them because there's only so many, and I like that I have a backlist. But she's definitely one I'm going to continue to read, and when she publishes books, I will buy them because I do enjoy them. And did I put it in this video? No, I put it in another video. I did actually buy the book that was the first book I read by her because I read it from the library. It was called The Vanishing, and I did just buy a used copy with credit at Powell's so that I'd had it on my shelf, because I want to, when I do finally catch up, because I'm sure I'm going to catch up at some point, because again, she only comes out with a book every year or every other year kind of thing, so I'm going to catch up at some point. But I want to reread The Vanishing because I remember I liked it enough that I wanted to continue reading her, but I gave it a 3 on Goodreads, so I would like to revisit that. And most of her books I would revisit, so that's why I own them and why I'm going to continue to read her. So I can't wait till the next one. I'll have to look to see what publication order, which the next one that'll go on my TBR shelf. So anyway, again, I will come back and wrap the whole thing up, and we'll look at the shelf, and I'll talk a little bit about the numbers, and then we'll finish the video. Okay, guys, so it is the end of this episode of Shelf by Shelf. This one didn't go so well as in finding anything I liked. I found one, and I am going to unhaul 3 of them. So again, Catherine House, it was just the style and teenagers first year of college acting like idiots. I couldn't even get past that. I didn't get very many pages in. I just didn't care. I did get 50 pages into Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes, and I just didn't like how the formatting was done for the story, where you're told certain things and then you're supposed to want to see how those things came about. And I did, but not enough to continue, because they just told too much of who was going to die and who and what kind of happened to them. And I'm like, what's the point of reading this book then? So I didn't get to the really, really spooky element, but oh well, it wasn't for me. And then I also DNF'd Those Across the River by Christopher Bolin. So this one, I just didn't like the main characters, and I just didn't care. And if, again, it comes down to, if I don't care about the characters even a little bit, I don't want to read. So I never even got to any of the spooky horror stuff. But this was also historical 1930s. So anyway, so those didn't work out for me. This one, again, was really good, but I knew that when I picked it. I was like, well, I wanted to read the next one anyway. So Wendy Webb is an author that I really enjoy. She's not like a favorite, but I plan to read all her backlist, and I'm getting closer. I think I still have 4 books, but we're working on it. Anyway, and she is so much more. She's the more gothic, mystery, paranormal elements around the lake, usually the Great Lakes. I think most of them take place around Lake Superior or around there. And I just love her atmosphere. I love the spookiness, the stuff that happens with the families. I don't know if I mentioned this, and I can't remember my clip, but there was one point one night I had to stop reading this because it got spooky, and it was just enough spooky that I was like, okay, I will read you in the daylight. I'm not reading that right now. So I did like it. There was some really good spooky elements in this one, and I'm glad I got to it. I can't wait to read the next one. It'll probably be another couple months before I get there, but again, she's just a solid. She's been like a 3.5 to 4 star kind of read for me. I really have enjoyed all the books I've read by her, and they're just fun. Like, to me, they're just that spooky mystery element with the lake setting, and usually something has happened bad in the past to somebody's family or to the property, and then this person is coming in not knowing really what they're getting into. And I just like the discovery. I think these, I just have fun with these. I really enjoy them. And if you know anything that someone who writes like Wendy Webb, like those kind of stories, let me know. Anyway, that is kind of where we're going. So the only one is going back on the shelf, and these 3 I am going to unhaul. So they will be in my next unhaul that hopefully I'll do some point, because I have like 4 bags full of books to take to try to sell or donate. So I need to do that, because I'm afraid to pull more stuff off my shelf because there's no bags left. I need to take these in. So maybe next weekend after, who knows. Anyway, so just to come back to, because it has been about 3 weeks, I think. About 3 weeks. That's kind of how I'm planning these, is like 3 weeks, and then I put the video out, and then I start again, kind of thing. So, again, I'm not talking about the actual numbers of how many books I have on my shelves, because my number is really high. So we're going percentage wise, and really, again, my goal is to hit 50. I want to have 50% read on my shelves at some point. I'm hoping. I'm not sure it's going to be by the end of the year the way I'm going, but I did start, so this episode started, I had 49% read and 51% unread. When I broke it down even lower because I had to, because I didn't make that much progress this episode. I did better on the last one. So it actually is I started at 48.91, and I had unread 51.09. So just like, okay, so it's just a little bit over, so I have 1.09 I was trying to get down to get to the 50% of the unread. And then, so where we ended this episode is my read is 48.98, so 0.07% better. And also, my unread is 51.02. So I went down 0.07%. So, I only brought, between how many books I brought in and unhauled and read, the difference in my total is only a few books. Like, I really did pretty well, but my percentage only moved in the hundreds, you know, or the, yeah, hundredths of a percent. But it's in the right way. Yeah, I think this might take me a lot longer. I did bring quite a few books in July, so that really did mess up my number of, I read quite a bit, but I also, and I DNF'd, or I DNF'd and got rid of quite a few books also off my TBR during this time period. But I still, as I said, I made progress. It's only 0.07, but I made progress on trying to lower my unread percentage. And again, I want to be 50-50. I would love, that's where I want to be. And that's, we'll see if I can keep there. Because again, I am still buying books. I am still reading stuff, but I'm still buying books. So anyway, and again, as I said, I need to take my unhauls in to get rid of them out of the house so that I feel okay unhauling more. Because there, again, I think I might do a big unhaul in my closet, which is another issue. So anyway, that's the end of this. You can hear Cooper and saw Truman kind of walking in the background, so they're here. So anyway, we're going to finish that. This is going in my unhaul, and this is going back on my shelf. So that shelf now has 9 read, but I think there's only 24 books on there now, but I might have moved one book over there too. So, my percentage isn't very good there. So we're not going to worry about that one. Maybe that'll be another, you know, I love when people, like I talked about that. Like, I like it when people said, oh, 50% of that shelf is read. I don't think I'm quite to that point yet. I did think about that, of reading a few more to get 50% on that shelf, but then this video would be weeks out. So I just, and not that I don't read that much, it's just that I have a lot of other stuff that I want to get to. So anyway, we're going to stop for this. So I will just start another one for the next month, and you'll see that sometime in mid-September. But I'm having fun with this. This is kind of interesting because it looks at one shelf and makes some decisions on that shelf that, and again, this one, I cleared off 3 books that I did try and I wanted to read, but they just didn't work for me. But I knew this one would. So this was kind of a cheat, but also I got it read. So I have one more book on her backlog that I've finished. So anyway, so if you guys have enjoyed this, let me know. And if you have any suggestions on something I could change on this. But again, I'm just having fun and kind of showing you some of my shelves. Because again, I can't do a book shelf tour because it would take hours. Because, I mean, I have a lot of bookshelves and a lot of books. So anyway, sorry about that, but so we'll just get glimpses of it in this series of videos. So anyway, I'm gonna go start the next one. So anyway, I will see you guys later. Bye. I forgot I did buy a new book. By the last one I didn't own by her. So yeah, but that one's red. It isn't, I forgot. So anyway, that's the shelf. Now I still have a lot. So I'll reorganize it. Yep. And Cooper is here.